Rebekkah, Tom, is there anything we need to go over, or should I start letting everyone in?
It's I don't know of anything in particular we have to go over. We did send Rebekkah some questions that were coming in from the neighborhood, but that's all. So.
Sorry, guys. I'm just getting situated. My childcare is not currently here yet, and I'm just hoping my kids don't walk in and interrupt. But I have them set up with a movie, and we're gonna hope for the best.
Okay.
Sam, let me get you. I'm sending you the slides, Sam, so you have it on your end.
Got it.
Well, at least for the last month, it seems to be much quieter lately. So.
This meeting looks like it's going to be quiet. There's only 10 people in the waiting room.
Just give me 1 minute and then we can let everyone in.
Hold on, I'm having issues.
I think Rebekkah is switching devices. When she comes back on, we'll be able to get started.
Okay. Sam, you'll send us the usual stuff, the recordings and things afterwards.
Absolutely. And I can also send this PowerPoint if that would be helpful.
Yes, it would. Please.
Got it. No problem.
Candace, how are you doing?
Tom, was that an inquiry to me, Candace?
Yes, it was.
Oh, very fine, thank you. Got two computers here, one for the Zoom meeting and one to take minutes. So thank you for asking.
Are you back yet?
Nope, still in San Francisco.
How long do you expect to be there?
I expect to be back by Friday morning.
All right. If we're all good. Rebekkah, just making sure you're all good.
Is my Okay, just making sure my camera is working this time. I was having issues with it previously, so I had to log out. Give me 1 second.
No problem.
Okay. Thanks, Sam. I'm good.
Rebecca, Tom, I think we're all good.
Okay, thank you, Sam. So if we have who we have, then why don't we get started for this evening? Welcome to the September meeting of the Southside Planning Forum. And we're just going to get right into the agenda. And that begins with Rebekkah.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Tom, again for having us. And to the rest of the planning forum for hosting us this evening. My name is Rebekkah Ranallo. I'm the neighborhood services manager for Mayor Ed Gainey. I'm joined tonight by a couple of my colleagues. If you want to introduce yourselves, Felicity and Sam.
Sorry about that. Was just getting myself unmuted. Good evening, everybody. My name is Felicity Williams, and I'm Deputy Chief of Staff to Mayor Gainey.
And Sam is always our kind of behind the scenes communications, IT ninja. And I apologize that I don't have him on this slide. That is my fault. But Sam, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Good evening, everyone. My name's Sam Wasserman. I'm listed as City of Pittsburgh. If there are any questions you have, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll get to them at the end of the mayor's staff presentation. Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right, well, let's jump right into tonight's presentation. So just a quick overview again of sort of the template we're using for our updates to the planning forum each month for this meeting. We review some meeting norms to guide the conversation. Just a quick reminder of the mayor's plan for peace and how we're deploying that plan in the South Side. And then we just go through some of our departmental updates and, you know, the pillars of that three-pronged approach: law enforcement, building and code, and fire enforcement, nighttime economy. And then we'll talk next steps and take some questions. Next slide. So I know we have a smaller crowd tonight, but just a reminder of the norms and values that we expect in all meetings we participate in. You know, we show each other respect, regardless of how difficult the topic is, or if we may disagree, but we do so civilly and respectfully. We're all here because we care about our community. Please save your questions for the end of the presentation. And raise your virtual hand when you want to speak. And I think last time there were issues with folks not actually knowing what that means. So Sam, maybe when we get to Q&A, if you could sort of just walk folks through how you raise your Zoom hand when we get to that point. And if, you know, we always just ask that you respect everyone's time. So if you had a question you were planning to ask that maybe someone else has already asked, or you have a concern or an opinion you want to share that's already been been shared. Consider yielding your time, and so that the conversation time is shared equitably with everyone who's participating. Let's get started. So the Gainey administration announced its plan for peace in June this past year, and we are committed to implementing that plan on Carson Street in the South Side through a three-pronged approach of law enforcement, building code enforcement, and fire code enforcement. We review and analyze our approach based in data regularly, and we approach all of our work through a very data-driven and evidence-based approach. We will continue to do that not only in the South Side, but throughout the city. Next slide, please. So I'm digging now into some of this month's data from our Bureau of Police. We have more good news for you all. It was another, and I think even before folks signed on, Tom from the Planning Forum was sharing that it's, things have continued to, for the most part, be quiet, which is probably why we have a smaller turnout this evening. I think folks are generally feeling like this plan is working and are perhaps less inclined to come out and raise concerns because things are quieting down. So this is good news. So as you can see on Carson Street, the high point for 2022 was actually in June in terms of homicides and non-fatal shootings. And that was the month we unveiled our plan for peace and our three-pronged approach for South Side. Things went down in July. We only had one incident. And again, in August, there was just one incident compared to 3 last year at this same time. Digging into a few more of these numbers, I was really excited to be able to share with you all that in August of last year, there were actually 12 violent Part 1 crimes that were reported. And in August of this year, there were only 4. So we are continuing to see good results and hear good feedback about how things are going in the South Side. And we want to just uplift the work of our public safety department and the community for continuing this, being rooted in consistency and, seeing this plan through. We believe it's starting to work. Next slide, please. So I shared most of this information with you all last month as well. In case this slide looks familiar, it's because, again, we are committed to a consistent approach to ensure that the success that we're seeing on Carson Street is maintained and stabilized. So again, we are continuing with these saturation patrols on weekends. What that looks like is actually 15 officers and a supervisor on. The officers are all on foot starting at 1:30 a.m. I apologize, I'm getting a low battery notification and my computer is plugged in, so I'm not sure. Give me one moment, all. I apologize. I just don't want to die on you guys. There we go. I'm sorry about that. My cord got loose. Okay. So on weekends, what the saturation patrol looks like is all officers are actually on foot starting at 1:30 a.m. They go, throughout the main corridor that you all are focused on, 12th to 18th Street, but even beyond. Some of you have raised concerns about making sure that saturation patrol extends down to 10th Street, into the side streets, into the alleys and the parking lots. They are continuing to do that. And our detectives are also continuing to patrol side streets and parking lots to provide additional support for this effort. The SDD division of our police, in addition to what we've just shared, provides 2 to 3 motorcycles for tag and tow detail. If and when there are, issues that require even more resources, we do have other zones on standby willing to assist with this effort. So, you know, a summary of all this is that there are a lot of police resources being dedicated to the south side on weekends. The planning forum had sent me a few questions about some specific businesses that, you know, folks in the community have had questions and concerns about. So the first one being about Foxtail and Sky Bar. They did indeed reopen over the weekend. Police reported to us that they did see, you know, a little bit of an uptick in sort of the crowd and gathering dynamic outside of that area, but no major issues or confrontations that we're aware of, at least. Cosmo is closed right now. They are really looking at kind of rebranding and revisiting their business plan. So things are sort of quiet on the Cosmo front. I know many of you work with Allison Harnden, our nighttime economy manager. She tracks all these updates with our business partners as well, and is here tonight as well and can answer any other questions about those businesses in the chat. And then with regards to Ember, they are continuing the approach they've committed to close their doors at midnight, but let the folks that are already in stay till 2. So again, this is all what I reported to you all in August, but again, just emphasizing that we are dedicated and committed to consistency, which is what we heard many of you ask for at the first meeting in June. Next slide, please. So the Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspections, in partnership with our fire department, did order a fire and life safety code suite for all the commercial businesses in this stretch of Carson Street earlier in June and July when we first began this work. They are continuing to track efforts on those inspections. So they performed 65 inspections, opened 54 different case files for 84 violations. And out of those, there are 20 businesses that remain in violation. And that can mean a variety of different things. Either they're sort of working through the remediation process and they're due for another inspection by PLI, or unfortunately, in some cases, some businesses will be headed to court if they don't remediate by the required time. Next slide, please. And then nighttime economy, some really great things happening in that program. Allison and her shop provided a active shooter response, stop the bleeding, CPR and AED training just a few weeks ago in late August. And they had 25 different owners, managers, and staff from 7 different businesses, with some of the larger occupancy businesses participate in this. Some of the businesses that I mentioned on the last slide also participated in this. So we love to see, you know, our business community in the South Side really showing up to engage and trying to just equip themselves with the knowledge and the resources they need to be responsible stewards of the business district and the community. Allison has a de-escalation training scheduled for later this month. A lot of those same businesses will be participating. And so we're still working through the network ID scanners idea. So for those of you who may not have been with us in previous meetings, this is something that Allison has researched and studied, that has been deployed in other business districts across the city, or I'm sorry, across the country. And what it is it's technology that all the bars connect into, that kind of gets them all connected to the same red flag issues. So let's say someone gets thrown out of one bar because they are violent or disruptive, disruptive beyond the values of the business. Then the other businesses can see that person has been violent or has been, has presented a situation that is unsafe. The technology also flags fake IDs so that one person doesn't get busted in one bar for using a fake ID, but then goes to another one that may not have as good of a vetting system at their front door. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of logistics to work through on this because it costs money. There would be an investment required on behalf of all these businesses. And so they are all still exploring this system, how different ways we might be able to fund it, and how the businesses can work together on that. Next slide, please. So with that, I just want to kind of go back to what we committed to the community and to the planning forum back in June, which was that we would present this kind of robust presentation and data to you all for 4 consecutive months through September. We've done that. We've assembled these slides for you all each month, and we believe that we are seeing good results from the efforts of our public safety and our code and fire enforcement partners, and the community and the businesses. And so this will be our final presentation of this caliber and of this scale for you all. But it doesn't mean that we're not going to be presenting data to you all anymore, or that we're not going to be engaging with you all anymore. We will continue to do so through the many mediums and engagement options that already exist in the South Side. And I really just want to encourage you all to engage in those ways. So I'm detailing a few of them here. First of all, please sign up for your zone's public safety council. Zone 3 in particular has a really engaged group of citizens. Liz Style, who chairs the group, is fantastic. She actually used to work for the city, so she really just gets this work from multiple perspectives. And she runs a very organized meeting and always has great guest speakers. You can sign up to be on that email list by contacting the email on your screen, zone3psc1@gmail.com. They meet every month on the 4th Thursday, and there are always police partners at these meetings who present really detailed data reports about what's going on in the zone. They take questions. It's a very informal, engaging conversation. And I especially encourage you all to go to your next zone PSC meeting, because you'll be meeting your new police commander, who today is actually his first day on the job, and which is why he wasn't able to join us tonight. But he shared with myself and with Allison that he's really excited to start working with you all in Zone 3. His name is Commander Ragland. I think you're all going to love working with him. And then for those of you who love kind of digging into the data and the numbers, you don't need to wait for this meeting or for your zone meeting to do that. We're providing a couple different links in the chat for you all to be able to access data about crime anytime you would like to. So the Pittsburgh Public Safety website shows police blotter information. And then the dashboard that Sam is putting in the chat for you all has just a whole wealth of data that you can look at by neighborhood. It's broken down in a million different ways. I encourage you all to kind of bookmark those links. And lastly, I want to share that our office, Neighborhood Services, is partnering with our Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspection to provide 2 different virtual training opportunities on how to use Agency Counter. Agency Counter is the software that the city uses to be able to share data around code enforcement, building, permitting activities, zoning. Both PLI and DOMI feed data into Agency Counter. They've recently made some enhancements to it, including information about what condemned buildings in your community may be eligible for city-funded demolition. There's also a reporting capability now, so you could actually be empowered with the tools and the knowledge on how to run your own report for your own community group. So we're really excited about bringing PLI to the community. They're excited about this. They want the community to be better empowered to find this data. So please join us at either of these trainings, and I will be sharing a flyer with all the community groups that are on our list very soon, as that's done. But the one is in the afternoon and one is in the evening. And I'm now, Sam, do you happen to have that information in front of you? Because I'm forgetting which one is which. Let me grab my.
I can pull it up and drop it in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, one is at 2 p.m. One is in the evening. We wanted to provide options for people with, diverse work schedules and lifestyles. It will be online so that you can participate from your house. And we hope you all will join us to talk about agency counter with PLI. So with that, I am going to open things up for questions.
Hi, Rebekah.
Hi, Councilman.
You would think by now I would know how to raise my hand, but I couldn't find how to do it. So Felicity, welcome. Rebekah, welcome. Sam, welcome. Thank you for being here. I just a couple quick observations and a couple of questions. It's nice to see that efforts that the Gainey administration made in terms of increasing safety in the South Side are bearing fruit. And it's nice that they're coming about at a time when we tend to see more of a natural ease in the kinds of participation on Carson Street. Things begin to settle. The fall comes in, students begin to go back to class, weather changes, all that stuff. So it's nice that everything is coinciding at the same time and creating this sense of calm and stability. And we hear that. I know Bob hears that. I hear that just about everywhere we go. And it is welcome. And I truly, truly want to thank you for your efforts in that. I'd like to talk a little bit more while we're on here about now that we are seeing a greater sense of calm, but we have some businesses that are going to return that have very large occupancies or that are in the process of returning. What we can develop in terms of proactive planning to ensure the calm stays with us. While it's important that we have to focus on reactive and policing, but I'd like us to have a sense of how we can balance proactive, foundational building of continued calm, setting a tone and a standard for your expectations when you come to Carson Street and all those kinds of things. So I don't know if you have any thoughts that you might want to offer about that, or if this is really more of an ongoing conversation. But now that we're at a point of relative calm, what are our next steps to ensure that we continue that? Felicity, do you have something to offer?
I was going to say, Councilman, one of the things I wanted to say, I think it's important that even though we are not coming to these meetings, going forward, the efforts that we are undertaking in the three-pronged approach are not ending. I think I want to make that important. So as you talk about, reaching what I see as a point of stability, where we've seen a decrease from activities last year at this same time, as Rebekkah reported to what we're seeing this year, we want to continue those efforts. And we have not discussed, ending those efforts, right? On the last call, we heard
and
that
I don't mean to
students
imply
are,
that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that distinction because I think that's important. Students are coming back, right? As you said, we just had the first weekend of the one establishment reopening. While there were some increased crowd sizes, thankfully there were not any increases in some of the disruptive activities that we were seeing previously. So we want to keep working the plan. If we can continue to see stability, I think then we keep working what works, and we should adjust as the data informs us. So if we see that there are increases, we need to make some shifts and adjustments. If we see that we continue to stabilize, maybe there are some components here that we can change a little bit. So I think it's an ongoing conversation, Councilman, and of course we would look to your leadership as well to help inform us as we go forward.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. This is interesting. Gwen Bolden from the Parking Authority just joined us. And my next sort of comment was really around enforcement. There was an article that went out about us not enforcing parking in the South Side. And we had to do some fancy footwork. And I met with Chief of Staff Wheatley and Deputy Mayor Pollock, and we worked through a bunch of stuff, talked with Gwen and about it as well too. I just want to emphasize the importance of enforcement for parking and its direct impact on revenue. The one consistently good thing that we can count on month in and month out in the South Side is the revenue that Parking Enhancement District generates for us to have 3 full-time union with benefit employees on the street, picking up on an average 16,000 pounds of trash on East Carson every month. And we all know neighborhoods that look like they're not cared for ultimately end up being treated as though nobody cares about them. And so the importance of making certain that the PED continues to generate revenue is paramount to the success of the clean team and to making certain that they continue to be able to do the job they do. Deputy Mayor Pollock was kind enough to reach out to Acting Chief Stan Grecky. I believe he's had conversations with Parking Authority as well to stress the importance of making certain that we are on top of parking enforcement within the PED, and not just the PED, but the RPP surrounding the PED as well. And so I just wanted to bring that up in terms of the impact it has on revenue. We are probably down. We could be down as much as $1,000 a weekend, which is $4,000 a month, and over a year is $48,000. Which is a significant impact on parking enhancement. So just want to make sure that we continue our commitment to making certain that whatever steps need to be taken, one of those, and the most active conversation that we've had is around ticket by mail. We've brought State Representative Jess Benham into the conversation, who's been a big help in ensuring that we are able to do ticketing by mail. Deputy Chief Pollock has been wonderful in assisting. We think we might need to do a couple minor verbal tweaks to legislation just to ensure that it's tight as it can be. But again, just stressing the importance of the revenue that generates and for us to be able to perform the services that are so very necessary. And the clean team serve as really as ambassadors too. I cannot begin to tell you the positive reaction we get from the members of the clean team in terms of their interaction with business owners and constituents. They're celebrities down here. They are greatly loved and appreciated. So I just wanted to put that out there. And then if you'll permit me one more time, I was really excited to hear that fire was going out and doing fire inspections. I don't know how closely you may have followed, but back on August 5, there was a nightclub fire in Thailand. 14 people lost their lives. One of the things that, honestly, I'm not kidding, keeps me up at night is the thought of having a nightclub fire in one of these establishments along Carson Street. The street, many of the buildings built in the very late 1800s. We don't know how many times over the years those buildings could have been remodeled, what kinds of materials were used in them, and what kinds of fire codes that were required to meet at that time. And when you think of a 3 or 4 story establishment with a rooftop deck, and God forbid, at a nightclub fire, what would be the evacuation plan? So just curious, if you can't answer that, that's fine. But do you know if in the inspection there were conversations about evacuation in the event of an emergency, or is this something that we might want to look into ongoing with certain establishments that we know are multi-story that have certain occupancies, that we might look into ways to do training for fire evacuations? God forbid there's an event of an emergency.
I think that's something that would be great for Allison to perhaps put on her ever-growing list of things she's exploring with business partners. So I think it's a great thought. And I do, just out of respect for Gwendolyn, who we did invite to come share some updates from the parking authority, I want to bounce to her. And I also want to ask a question that the planning forum or I want to answer a question rather that the planning forum had sent me in advance of this meeting that I forgot to share during my presentation. There has not been any, serious violent encounter between the public and the parking authority that we're aware of. There was one incident that was unfortunate. It was not a violent incident, but it was just, something you don't want to have to deal with as a parking enforcement officer, making, $16, $17 an hour. And because of that isolated incident, the parking authority is just being cautious about how they're doing their work in the South Side and in other, nighttime areas. And I know Gwendolyn's going to share with us more about what the councilman has mentioned about ticketing by mail. So with that, Gwen, are you ready to jump in?
I am. Good evening. I don't know where my camera is. Hold on. Okay, well, as long as you can hear me.
We can.
Okay. So we are fully on board on going back to enforcing in the South Side. We want to make sure that our officers are protected. But we understand, probably more so than anyone, the importance of enforcement going along with rules and regulations. We know that if there's not enforcement, it's not likely that people are going to pay as they should, because they'll figure out quickly that there's no enforcement going on. So we look forward to getting enforcement back in the evening time. Currently, we are working on a pilot that's going to allow us in our surface lots on the South Side to do ticket by mail. We're really excited about that. We have just about everything in place. We're doing some testing in the next week, and hopefully that'll be on board really quickly after we've completed testing. For our latest enforcement numbers for the month of August, we had a total of 17,000 plates that were read, and of those 440 tickets were issued. So we do understand the importance of enforcement and getting back into those RPP areas and also the meter enforcement. That's what I have for you, unless you have any additional questions.
Gwen, hi, it's Bruce. How are you?
Hi, Bruce. I'm good.
Good. Hey, we have State Representative Jess Benham on. Jess, are you at your computer? That's okay if you're not. I know she had some information to offer. Your camera's on. There you are.
There we go.
She did have some information to offer that gave, I believe, gave the administration some level of comfort in legally having the ability to also ticket by mail on street. I know you're being cautious, starting in surface lots to begin with, and then eventually branching out onto the street. I just thought maybe State Representative Jess Benham could offer some clarification in that I might not know. Do I understand correctly, though, that in surface lots, we are going to continue payment, I can't think of a better way to say it, up until 2 a.m. now? Or did I imagine that? Or are they still going to stop at 10 or 12, or are they going to continue till 2?
As far as I know, it went until midnight. I don't know anything about the 2 a.m. Bruce.
Okay. Is there anything, and if you can't answer it, please, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, I'm just curious. Is there anything in your contractual obligation to your meter people to not be able to work past midnight?
Not that I know of. So I will double check that, but not that I know of.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here, Gwen. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It looks like Representative Benham can't unmute herself. She's in Harrisburg. I know. So she wasn't dodging you.
No, I didn't think so for a minute. Yeah. Just, I know she has a little better understanding of the possibly perceived limitations under state law that might, need to be tweaked. But
I can unmute myself now. I think they gave me the ability to. If there's specific questions about what's permissible or not permissible, from my understanding, there is nothing in state law prohibiting the ability of the enforcement of parking by mail. If there are more specific questions than that, I think the tricky thing, of course, is that if you're enforcing parking by mail, you are mailing it to the address that the car is registered to. And so, if you have college students who are driving a car that's registered to their parents, for example, that parking ticket is going to get mailed to their parents' address as opposed to their address. So that is one limitation, is that it's not necessarily going to the person who's using the car. It's going to the person who is the registered owner of the car. Though, of course, getting at students to park correctly might work better if their parents are the ones finding out about the parking ticket.
Representative Benham, you would agree that the owner of the vehicle is the person responsible for the legal operation of the vehicle?
Yes, technically, legally, that is the case, which is why, that's how it has to be done. But that is one difference between placing a ticket on the windshield of a car and mailing it, is that it goes to the owner, not to the operator, which is, again, fine for legal purposes, but is one key difference there.
Yeah. So at the risk of prolonging this conversation, and I promise I will stop with this, you can imagine parking in the South Side is the #1 topic of conversation right after trash management. One of the things that we did to be able to collect revenue on Sundays, because we have never in the history of the city collected parking revenue on a Sunday. And one of the tweaks that we made to the legislation is that the South Side is a dynamically priced parking zone, and it is the only dynamically priced parking zone in the city. And under that purview, if that's the right word, we offered that we would then be able to, only in dynamically priced zones, be able to enforce collect meter revenue on a Sunday. And in some conversations with Deputy Mayor Pollock, we brought up the same thing, that the easy tweak, or I don't mean to say easy, but probably the most productive tweak in local legislation, which could be handled very quickly, is to permit ticketing by mail only in dynamically priced parking zones, which is then the Southside PED and only the Southside PED. It would be a good way to start and get it, under our, under our belt. So thank you. I appreciate. I don't mean to dominate, but it really is a topic that Bob and I get regularly, if not daily. So appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. And I think we're going to take one last question from Adrian, and then we'll let you all get on with the rest of your agenda for the evening.
Hi, thank you. So I just wanted to clarify about the RPP and the ticketing in the evening. Is there a timeline for when that's actually going to start?
I don't have an answer on that yet. As soon as we can get it back up, we'll put that information out.
So it could be a while still. I mean, I understand why everybody's talking about like the PED zone and the meters, and I appreciate everything that the clean team does and all of that, obviously as a resident, but also as residents, we care deeply about, you know, the RPP permits that we pay into this, and then we can't even check cars anymore because there's no physical ticker, you know, stickers on the car. So we have no idea what car is supposed to be here, what car isn't. I mean, I had a car parked illegally in front of my house for over a week next to a stop sign before it was actually towed. I mean, we can't do anything about it if people aren't coming around and checking. So we would really appreciate if that would be, you know, pushed. Thank you.
It is definitely a priority on our part.
When would we not have a contractual obligation? We enter into contract with residents when they sign to have the RPP program within their neighborhood, and we charge a fee for that service. Are we not? And maybe this is more a question for our law department, but it seems to me that we are legally bound to provide this service that we have contracted through financial exchange with residents to be there and provide that service.
I don't know that that's listed in the agreement that they sign when online securing their permit, but I hear you.
Okay, Bob, let's look into that, okay? Thank you very much, appreciate it. Thanks, Gwen, for being here and everything. Oh, it's the deputy mayor. I'm gonna take this.
And hopefully it's about how we move forward, ticket by mail. Alrighty, guys. Well, I want to thank you so much for your partnership in this effort. Again, I just want to reiterate, you know, some of the resources that Rebekah shared with you all at the end, where you all can go and continue to get data to take back to your community meetings, aside from this, that you attend the Public Safety Council meetings. Please do stay engaged. We love that about the South Side. It's important to us to see residents engaged in and loving their communities. I don't know if Rebekah has anything else she wants to say before we drop off, but again, we really thank you guys, and we hope that the situation continues to remain stabilized, and we'll continue to assess and revisit as needed.
Thank you, Felicity. Yeah, I just want to add that the Southside Community Council has been a wonderful partner with regards to posting the recordings of all of these meetings, and the chat transcripts. I think they're even posting those as well on their website. So if you're not already on their list, there are definitely folks in the virtual room tonight who can help you get on that list. Throw your email in the chat. I did respond to one of the questions from someone tonight who said they didn't think an email about this meeting went out. The Southside Chamber actually has been the group that sends out the meeting notifications about this meeting. So I would encourage you all to make sure you're on that email list as well. Between the chamber and the community council and the Zone 3 PSC and your councilman, you have just a lot of really great advocates and partners who are going to make sure you all stay updated on all this work that, as Deputy Chief of Staff Williams shared, is going to continue. We are committed to being consistent in this work and hope to continue seeing good results. So with that, I just want to thank Tom and the Planning Forum for making the time for us these last 4 months and yielding so much of your agenda each month. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your meeting and a good evening.
Thank you.
Felicity. Okay, well, Bob, do you want to take the East Carson Street portion, or do you want us to move along and come back to the councilman?
Why don't we wait till he comes back? He shouldn't be long.
Okay, that would move us on to you, Allison. Are you prepared now?
I am, and please excuse me for not being on camera. I had an eye injury and I don't want to scare you all, so stay off camera. So for the August parking enhancement district, the revenue total was $15,589.40, and that is down a bit. There were no enforcement costs. The revenue to date for 2022, sorry, is $128,680.37. Since the inception of the PED in April 2017, the PED has collected $961,201.22, and it is likely that we may hit the $1 million mark by the end of the year. Not likely, but possible. One expenditure in August was for the July clean team. That invoice always lags about a month, for $18,632.62. That leaves a balance in the trust fund of $153,000 and $152,864.27. Again, as a reminder, the money that is being generated in 2022 will add to that trust fund balance around February of 2023. So we'll still be okay. On liquor license changes, the state really didn't report any new licenses, but there are ones that are returning and surrendering to safekeeping. One in Arlington, one and the other one in Mount Oliver, and one on Carson Street, the Vault Tap Room, returning to safekeeping as they have closed. And safekeeping is required by the Liquor Control Board when a license is not in use for an extended period of time. As you know, the mayor's team reported on nighttime economy activities, so I'm not going to reiterate that. I'll move on to the clean team report. In August, they collected over 15,000 pounds of trash, 339 alcohol bottles. That's up just slightly. It was about 300 in July. Those are primarily between like 12, no, that's not right, 15th and 1700 blocks of East Carson Street and kind of on the side streets around that area. Mostly the team focused on weed abatement because of so much rain in July. It really made the weeds grow. And I know maybe Bob could report on, there was a question brought up last month about cleaning, the ability to clean the new signal boxes. And Bob did some fancy footwork between this last month's meeting and this month's meeting to get some information on that. So do you want to chime in there, Bob?
Sorry, I don't know how to talk in or unmute myself while I'm sharing the screen. Yeah, all that I found out is that the city does have the authority there to allow the clean team to clean those boxes, remove some stickers. They're asking that we do not paint those new boxes there, but they do have the ownership, so they're who we need to talk to in the future when these situations do arise. I'll go back to Sharon.
Yeah, well, that's the end of my report though, Bob. And I know there was a question by the clean team about what kind of cleaning product could be used on it. I mean, because a lot of times they just paint over the graffiti. So if that might be a follow-up question that needs to be answered.
Yeah, they said they actually, and I think they can even provide some level of graffiti remover. But we can follow up on that.
Yeah, okay.
Excuse me, this is Candace. I can tell you that previously Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful provided us with bottles of graffiti cleaner. So we have Michelle Dunn from Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful on our board. So I can ask if we can get some of that product. They donated it before, but unfortunately it burned up in the fire. but I can ask to get some of that if you like.
Well, actually the Clean Team contract includes products. It's more a matter of what they're trying to find out is they don't want to damage it with certain kinds of cleaning product. And so they want to know what, I don't know, is it Duquesne Light? I don't know who the authority is, DOMI, what they want, what kind of product they want to use on that. So I don't think it's a matter of, needing the actual stuff. Is kind of you to find that out, but it's part of the contract.
Okay.
That concludes the Clean Team and PED report, unless there are questions, and then I toss it back to Tom.
Okay, thank you, Allison. Well, Bruce is away. We'll continue with the rest of the agenda until he makes it back here, hopefully. That's the review of the minutes. Has everyone received their minutes? Are there any changes or corrections to be made? If not, we need a motion to accept. Anybody? Okay, I think you can unmute yourselves now too, so.
You might have to unmute them, Bob. I think they had muted everybody.
I did prepare the meeting minutes, but I can move to approve if somebody will second.
As far as I can see, it says that participants can unmute themselves. I'm, not an expert by any means. I can't unmute. All right. I'm gonna.
Could someone second in the chat?
All right, try now. Try now if you can do that.
Hi, this is Lynn. I second it. I can finally unmute.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, then all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, for the development activities meetings, is there anyone from the community council that can report on that? And Kara for the slopes?
Yeah, I can report on the slopes. We did have one development activities meeting. It was for 3244 Pius. We had a meeting with them last year, but they made a major change, so they had to come back through us. They've renamed the development to 46 Pius, and they're tearing down the old kind of Veronica's Vale Auditorium. And in its place, they're going to build a new building that kind of mirrors the existing building beside it, but in a more modern style. It's going to hold more apartments. There was a big discussion about parking during the call, and it's available on our YouTube, the Southside Slopes YouTube, if anyone's interested in seeing more details about that change.
Okay, thank you. From the community council, anyone?
I think I might be the only one here from the community council, and I was not at last month's dam meeting, unfortunately, and I don't believe that we have one for September.
Okay, then, thank you.
And I can share this from planning. Yeah, we don't. That's correct. The next upcoming scheduled dam would be for October 20th. So that's looking at 1111 East Carson Street for a door replacement. Historic Review Commission will eventually go to Historic Review Commission. And then the sites for for August were 1506 East Carson Street and 1411 East Carson Street. So those were both discussed around like the different HRC comments on those renovations.
Okay, thank you. While you're up, are there any reports about activities of the community council you want to give now?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to share those updates from kind of the city neighborhood planner, but for the area, but I defer to Southside Community Council on their report. Thanks.
Adrian, do you know of anything from the community council you can report on their activities for the last month?
The only thing that we had our neighborhood block party on Saturday, which I don't know how many people were there, but quite a few. It was a very nice event, very kid friendly, family friendly, and adult friendly as well. So other than that, I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. Kara, anything up from the slopes?
I think I'm just going to be repeating last month's plug for Step Trek. But yeah, Step Trek is coming up October 1st. You can buy tickets on ShowClicks if you just search ShowClick Step Trek. Or yeah, we have some nice shirts with a graphic of a goat on them. And we're also participating in Garbage Olympics on Saturday, September 17th. So I guess that's this Saturday. So if anyone wants to pick up trash.
Okay, thank you. Lynn, anything from the hospital?
No, no updates for us.
Okay, Kathy, do you have anything?
I would just like to say I encourage people of Southside to feel encouraged about the neighborhood, that this is a real opportunity, you know, with the street construction almost done, I think, and the pandemic ending and the shootings going down, that this is, you know, a real opportunity for more improvements and positive growth in the neighborhood. That's what I have felt led to say.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Kathy, Councilman, we're coming back. We skipped over you about the East Carson Street and 18th Street. You can unmute yourself there.
Forgive me. Yeah, Carson Street is slowly winding down. I called Bob about, I don't know, a week or two ago. I was terrified. I saw PWSA digging holes in Carson Street. Like, oh my God, what? You know, we just did this. But I think I was a little premature in my judgment there. It does look like much of the work is still concentrated down around the Southside Works area. A couple more bump outs to be done. I believe there's some Wayfair signage that needs to be installed. Most of the traffic signals, if I remember correctly, have been installed, most are removed. You're beginning to see the final aggregate concrete being installed where the new traffic signals needed to go in. So definitely winding down. We're anticipating being able to be cleaned up and cleared for the holiday season. Banners are on order to be able to sort of celebrate, you know, a level of completion of the project and into the holiday season. And then we tear up 18th Street. And it's just never ending. But those improvements, I swear, that long before I even thought of running for a council office, I would engage with police at Zone 3, and they would beg me to speak to anybody at City Hall about getting a light in 18th and Josephine. So that is probably 20 years that we have been clamoring to see that happen. So clearly construction underway, major construction at 18th and Josephine. You are seeing Sarah and Jane already excavation underway to do the bump outs, just like we did on Carson. God forbid we run into any kind of vaults underground that limit the work that PennDOT can do while they make corrections to underground problems that they could encounter. But you'll see new lights at Sarah Jane. I'm still in conversations with the administration. When our last DOMI director was here, we sort of had a gentleman's agreement that even though 18th and Mary was not part of the PennDOT project, that should also, under our capital budget, do the bump outs in those intersections to continue for a continuation of safety through that corridor. Mission has begun. Kara, I think you'll be excited to hear this, or I'm sure you're already aware of it, but the house at the intersection of 18th and Mission, which was in danger of collapse and that we had struggled to demolish for quite some time, has been demolished. I believe it became part of this improvement project because digging in that deep into the vaults, I think, would clearly destabilize the building, and gave us some ammunition to further argue for the removal of the building, which is down. So I can't tell you definitively if the work from Carson to Mission will be completed before work at Arlington and Amanda take place. I can't say that, but it appears that seems to be the method to the madness, that complete those intersections first and then move on to Arlington and Amanda. I can't give you a timeline, I'm sorry, as to when we expect that it might be completed, but it's clearly underway. So I can't put a dollar figure to the 18th Street Signal project. I want to say it's between 4 and 6 million. Carson Street was 16.3 million, if I remember correctly, and about 3 million in lights. So 26, maybe $27 million. $27 million in infrastructure improvement on Carson and 18th Street is, welcome on every level. So I think that's it. Thank you, Tom, for letting me do that.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. And Candace, sorry, I skipped over you with the chamber report.
Well, that's okay. We're looking to set a date for our annual meeting. That will be decided in the next week or so. We're moving forward for preparations for our December 7th holiday mingle event at J. Verno Studios. We're happy to bring it back. And we're also in beginning conversations. I talked with Andrea Matthews to start work on the 2023 soup contest. So we'll get back with more details next month. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Candace.
You're welcome.
Unless there are any more questions for anybody, that concludes our meeting for this evening. The October meeting of the planning.
Oh, Tom, can I make a quick announcement real quick?
Sure. Sorry.
Would that be okay? No, it's okay. I talked earlier, and so I didn't think about making a specific plug for this, but my office is we have our Hilltop Health Check coming up on September 24th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's at the Brashear in the Brashear Care Center up on Brownsville Road. And so it'll be a health clinic. There's also going to be a flu clinic at the same time for flu shots at the Mount Oliver Fire Hall. So if anybody needs their flu shot, that'll be a good opportunity to do that. So I just wanted to put that announcement out there. I'm in Harrisburg this week and next week, so you won't see me around the districts too much, but I'll be back in town after that.
Hey, Tom, can I add one last thing too? I should have earlier. I believe there are at least a few people on the call that knew Connie Wellens, who was the vice chair of the 18th Ward, a very stalwart Belts River resident for decades and decades and decades, who passed about 3 weeks ago now. Her memorial service is being held this coming Sunday from 2 to 5 at the Federation of Teachers here on the south side. And I just would like to get the information out that anyone who wishes to come and pay their respects to Connie Wellens has an opportunity to do that between 2 and 5 on this coming Sunday at the Federation of Teachers on the south side. Thanks, Tom.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. Okay, and that concludes the meeting then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.
Okay, see you, everybody. Bye.
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 Thank you.